Hello, slack-jawed yokel here. I find myself agreeing with atheists on YouTube more and more about freedom of speech, gun control, radical feminism, and most importantly, their emphasis on reason over emotions. And I really appreciate the fact that they put themselves out there and stand up for constitutional freedoms, things that I believe in the face of fierce opposition, criticism, and even threats. And many of them seem like really ethical people who are articulate and informative and oftentimes very funny. I like them. But where I differ is that I believe in God. I'm not pretending here to be a great apologist. There are many people who are much better at that than me. But what I would like to explain are my beliefs and some of my observations on atheism and what could be a danger in an aspect of some of the atheism that I see online. I don't believe that Christianity and reason are in opposition. For me, the difference lies in how one defines science and rational thought. If you can only believe in something that you can prove by deductive reason, then you can't believe in God, probably. Yeah. But there are things in this universe that you cannot prove empirically, as we all know, that are held by most people to be true. They're products of inductive reasoning, like the composition of the Earth's core or the process of evolution. Then there are things that are outside the material. Get down. Such intangibles as consciousness, emotions, abstract thought, and morals. At this point in time, we can't prove in a laboratory that emotions and thoughts exist, but most of us acknowledge that they do. And yes, morals can fall into the realm of the subjective, but most of us can see that you shouldn't torture puppies for fun. This would qualify as a truth you couldn't prove with a telescope or a particle accelerator. Now, why do I feel a need to say all this? Is it because I feel threatened by unbelief? In one way, the answer to that is no. What others hold to be true influences what I believe, but does not dictate what I believe. Christian belief has been in the minority for much of history, and we're pretty much used to it. Our founder taught us to expect it. But in another way, I have to admit that I am feeling threatened by the turn that atheism has taken in recent years. In the past, philosophers such as Sartre or Camus thought very deeply and protractedly about the existence of God. They didn't take it lightly. They took religion seriously, and they took the implications of their atheism very seriously. They wrestled for sometimes years between the human longing for a deeper meaning and the lack of proof for anything metaphysical, and concluded that without empirical evidence, the supernatural was at best irrelevant. And they had a sort of pity for those of us who needed religion. Life is absurd, but we must make the best of it while we can, or simply commit suicide. The new atheism, or at least the atheism as presented by like Dawkins or Hitchens doesn't strike me as a product of such a struggle. It doesn't seem as intellectual to me. There's a dismissiveness of religion or the supernatural, of flippancy about something that great minds have grappled with throughout history. Flying spaghetti monster comes to mind. The idea that only superstitious troglodytes would even consider the possibility of anything existing outside of nature has firmly taken hold. And there is a schism between science and philosophy and theology that really has not existed throughout much of Western history. In atheism, empiric evidence is the only evidence. The decline of verificationism has not seemed to have hit the new atheist community as yet. Moreover, there seems to be a degree of malevolence toward religion in the new atheism that was not so in the past. The acceptance of futility was considered freeing by those who could achieve it, and for those of us who could not, there was a fairly benign sort of disappointment, not hostility. Religion is considered so backward and so dangerous that the only hope for mankind is to completely eliminate it, not reform it, not refine it, eliminate it. I agree that religions such as Christianity and Islam do at times fall into two camps that are particularly dangerous. One being an inordinate preoccupation with eschatology, and the other being a tendency toward politicization and militancy. The first is a fatalistic view that lends itself toward either complacency or mindless zealotry. And the second, in my opinion, completely misses the whole point of the New Testament. Jesus was neither a warrior nor a politician. There is today a tendency in political and social discussions to designate some ideas as so dangerous they must be eradicated. And historically, the eradication of ideas has often resulted in the eradication of people. Therein lies my anxiety about the new atheism. Religion, not certain aspects of particular religions, but blanket religion, has become a scapegoat for the ills in our society, past and present, much like the patriarchy or white supremacism or climate denial. I get the feeling that if Mr. Dawkins has his way, I will be destined for a re-education camp, or worse, much like cisgendered, white, patriarchal males would be dealt with in the psychopathic fever dreams of radical third-wave feminists. We can disagree, but let's not throw each other to the lions.